Dean with USD 290 in Ottawa, Kansas. I wanted to just show you guys a little bit of what I've been building here for managing our day-to-day activities with the Chromebooks. We discovered there was a need for a software that would be able to track our students' use of their Chromebooks and their day loaners. And what it amounted to is that we would have several students come in the mornings that would forget their Chromebooks, or they'd have a broken device or something was being fixed on their device. And they needed to have a day loaner or a Hotswap to get them through the day. And typically we would mark them down up on a whiteboard, get their serial number or their asset number right on the whiteboard, and then mark it off when they came in at the end of the day. We had one person managing that, and then if she was absent, we'd have to have some other system in place for someone else to come in and step in and do the same activity. So what we ended up doing is I built this Hotswap manager here, and a student would come in with their ID. They put a barcode under a barcode reader. It would read in their ID. They could then check out a Hotswap or a charger. We're going to check out a Hotswap. They would then scan their current Chromebook. And if they don't have their Chromebook, this would be another an issue we'd fix on the back end, which I'll show you later. But they'd scan their current Chromebook, and it would tell them which Hotswap to take from the cabinet. So this student has been assigned Hotswap slot 23, the Chromebook in slot 23, and if they come back tomorrow after they check this one in, it'll send them to the same slot for the same Hotswap. If that one's not available, then it just steps on down the line. So the student can then sign out. The next student is ready to use this. If someone else is right behind them, they can come in and scan their student ID and proceed. Once the student comes back in at the end of the day, they scan their student ID. They would then check in their Hotswap by clicking here. And they have to check in the exact same one that they checked out. So this is a form validation. So if I type in the wrong number, it's going to say that's not the one that you checked out. Please try again. And then it says place your Chromebook back in slot 23 where yours should be sitting if it was a true Hotswap. And then plug the Hotswap back in to charge. And come back tomorrow if needed again. Now, if let's say a student checks out a device, and then at the end of the day, they forgot to check it in, or it didn't get checked in right, or there was an issue, an admin can then come in here and check in the device manually. So here's all the devices that are currently checked out. You can click check in, and it pops right back in, and it's all done. A little buggy still. There's some stuff to work on. This is the 10 recently checked in Hotswaps. So you see which student, which I only have one account I'm testing with right now, which serial number they grabbed, checkout date, and check-in date. You can then click on the student and see his personal history of devices he's checked out, or a serial number and see which student has been checking him out. So those two screens look kind of the same, but they're different uses. First use of this program, you can load your devices directly from Google Apps. It'll pull them all in with the devices API. And it gives us a list of several here that are not ready to be checked out because they're missing an asset ID field on the Google Apps side. So an easy fix, just find those devices and add that asset ID field. Same for students. It does pull students from Google Apps too with the click of a button. And because this is a demo, these are actually real students. I just overwrote their name as student name to protect their data. But those are actual students that would not be able to use this program right now because they are lacking a student ID field. We have a student ID field stored in Google Apps. We sync it with our on-prem Active Directory, and it's the employee ID field that syncs across. That's the Hotswaps themselves sit in this table. If we had to add more Hotswaps, we could add a serial number, add a cart location, and then that would be then available for checkout. If a device is currently checked out, you cannot modify that screen for that device. So let's check out a device real quick. That device cannot be deleted. It cannot be changed. Nothing can change there. If you had a device you wanted to swap out for a different device, you could just change it in here. So if you had someone off for repair, if it got broken, or if you wanted to take it out of the mix, that's all it takes right there. So now that one's 457 is now in cart location 22. And I'll show you one last thing on that main drop down. A couple of features I'm working on is a suspend student feature and a disable Chromebook feature. The suspend student feature would just basically, you'd search in a student and it would move them down one OU level to a suspended account OU. I saw a need for that. We have a lot of students that we need to move in and out for behavioral issues to a different OU. And instead of each time going into the admin console, finding that student and using the dialog, the UI to move them to the suspended option, anyone with access can then come into the suspend student dialog. They could search for the student name and click suspend. It would just move them one OU down and give them those suspended access privileges. Disable Chromebook is probably not going to work just yet with the APIs that are available, but I wanted to have a way to mark a Chromebook as disabled and pop up that return prompt. So that's what's coming down the line, hopefully. Stay tuned. Any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.